Close the door, turn the volume down a bit, and breathe deeply, because this is gonna get annoying fast.
What so proudly we hail as the twilight lasts gleaming.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 worst pieces of video game music. For this list, we've chosen the soundtracks in gaming that are regarded as annoying, horrendous, or just unbearable to listen to. Our choices are based on a mixture of fan votes, their global infamy among gamers, and our own personal choices. Prepare yourselves, people.
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride.
Number 10, Town Music, King's Quest V. Exploring various towns and markets is often an essential part of any fantasy game, as it's usually a place where equipment can be picked up, interesting dialogue is exchanged, or where various quests can be started or ended.
Come on in, look around. Let me know if you're interested in anything.
Normally such a location would have soothing music to go with it in order to inspire a sense of relaxation. As opposed to this, well, we hope fans of this game have a high pain threshold because the repetition of what sounds like a cat constantly hitting the same notes on a pixelated church organ is something we can only bear for so long. Number 9, Central City, Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. Now, this location wasn't plucked straight out of thin air. It's actually been used as a battleground in several Sonic the Hedgehog games. It's had its musical ups and downs for sure, but on a good day, the level can contain some pretty rockin' tunes.
One more in this city is done for.
However, it kinda turns out that BioWare's contract with Sega expired towards the end of development of this title, and since BioWare wanted to focus their efforts on Dragon Age Origins, the music that remained here was a placeholder MIDI track. So, there's no sense of thrills to be found, and the constant high-pitched notes start to grate on the senses after a very short while. You done messed up big there, Sonic old pal, and it won't be the last time. Number 8, Stage Theme, Back to the Future. In a game so critically panned by fans and players alike, including the film's screenwriter, we didn't think the music would be anything to brag about. We just didn't expect the bar to be dropped so low. This NES title, based on the acclaimed cinematic hit, only has a couple of songs, one of which, believe it or not, is a sped-up version of Huey Lewis and the News' Power of Love. Initially, you might get away with thinking that's not so bad, at least for the first 5 seconds. Then it just goes on and on and on and on and on until you come to the horrible realization that this is the track that's going to be playing throughout the entire game. Marty McFly deserves better than this. Number 7, Title Screen, The Adventures of Rad Gravity. How often can you say that just the opening title music is bad enough to drive players away? Not to discourage people from playing this game starring Rad Gravity, who with his Bruce Campbell-esque chin and variety of planets to explore actually provides one of the most entertaining sci-fi games ever made for the NES. But we cannot excuse the music from the title screen. We're pretty sure that the more you listen, the more your brain comes closer to melting. Prepare to be drowned out by random gibberish bursting from your speakers to the point where you're questioning whether or not you accidentally smoked something or you're just going through one hell of a nervous breakdown. Number 6, Crazy Chocobo, Final Fantasy XIII 2.
Gas him up with the greens and let him go. Stand back, stand clear as he puts on the show. So you get fierce and safe from hell. I can't tell yet, I don't even want to know.
This vast series always offers a variety of immortal characters, incredible storytelling, and of course those lovable giant chickens that we all want to have as our steed. Obviously, the creators thought that for the sequel to Final Fantasy XIII, the huge feathered icon needed to be updated. Their solution? Mix together the lighthearted Chocobo theme with heavy metal. Obvious choice, right? What follows is actually kind of awesome for how astoundingly awful it is. This would be welcomed in any other game, except in the very fantasy game you were trying to pass off as having emotional depth. Kinda shot yourselves in the foot there, guys.
You think you can ride this chocobo? Got chocobo, you better put 'em on the chocobo. Settle up if you think you can ride in this rodeo. You know, I don't know till the dark was wrong.
Number 5. Options menu. Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball. The Blue Speedster returns again, with this particular retro installment not being as kindly received as some of his other classics. Sonic-themed pinball might be an okay idea, but the transition to the Genesis definitely wasn't smooth sailing. You can imagine players perhaps wanting to adjust the settings in order to make the gameplay a little easier. And then they open up the options menu and lo and behold, their ears are blown out by this travesty. Does an options menu even need music? Whatever adjustments you may have wanted to make, we're pretty sure that once you heard this, they instantly muted all the music for sake of their own sanity. Number 4, The Sewers, Terminator. Just because Arnie's acting was kinda one note doesn't mean you can make your in-game soundtrack in the same way. The iconic Terminator made his way onto the NES only a couple of years after the chromed-up Death Machine dazzled and thrilled fans on the big screen. Unfortunately, Kyle Reese's mission to save Sarah Connor wasn't as epic for gamers, especially when you have a level as ugly as this with an accompanying track that quickly turns into a painful mantra. The singular notes are seemingly endless as you try and grenade your way out of the damn sewers. 10 minutes of this and you are practically begging to be terminated. Number 3, Yoshi's Clan, Yoshi's New Island. What, you thought that all Yoshi were cute and friendly creatures? Well, you'd be dead wrong. They're actually little monstrosities who live to torture parachuting babies with an orchestra of what sounds like farts straight out of the pits from hell. There is no charm in hearing these miniature dinosaurs chant their theme to you constantly. If anything, it's like they're preparing some sort of sacrifice, and this ear-bursting tune is their way of driving their victims to insanity before ending their existence. Okay, that got pretty dark, but it's still really bad. Remember, this game came out in 2014. What's their excuse? Number 2, Mansion Basement, Resident Evil Director's Cut. Resident Evil was a big hit for Capcom, so to capitalize on the success of the first game, they decided to release it the following year with brand new modes and a completely different soundtrack. However, Capcom probably should have kept the original basement tune intact, as the new version could only be described as a choir of geese trying to make a tune. As it turns out, and this is kinda sad, composer Mamoru Samaroguchi was starting to lose his hearing around this time, and actually hired a ghostwriter to compose most of his work. We're not sure which one of the two are to blame for the geese, but either way, it's memorable for all the wrong reasons. Before we reveal our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
For the round what we want, we're the galaxy's dream.
我爱北京天安门，天安门上太阳山。
Number 1, Crazy Bus, Crazy Bus. Not only is this easily the worst video game song ever made, but it might also be one of the worst combinations of concurrent sounds to ever be conceived by mankind. Here, let's have another listen. Need we say any more? Who composed this? A chihuahua on a keyboard? Do you agree with our list?
You finally come to realize just how abominable these humans are.
What's the worst piece of video game music you've ever heard? With new top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Now, you must amass revenge on those humans. Unleash your anger and ultimate powers on them.